Well, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, may I welcome to the stage the star of that movie. It is Antonio Banderas. Welcome, welcome. How you doing? Good to have you with us. What fun, what fun. So SpongeBob, did you ever dream you would be in the SpongeBob movie?
No way.
No way. Bit of a surprise?
It was a surprise because actually I was not very familiar with the show, to tell you the truth. My youngest kid was Stella, but I mean, you have to be blind to don't know SpongeBob because for the last 15 years it's an icon of the American pop culture, the world pop culture actually. But I was not until I read the script and I just realized that I got material that was very surreal and absolutely open for anything. And actually, that's what you're looking for actually when you do a movie for kids, is to have the possibilities of fantasize and behind every corner there is a new possibility. So there is a number of things attached to this project that attract me very much. Yeah.
Let's talk a bit about your character. He's a pirate, isn't he? Tell us a bit more about him.
Well, he's a pirate, but it's kind of three characters in one, you know, kind of a holy trinity in a way. He's a pirate in a classical way. He's a narrator of the story. He's the one who is telling the fairy tale, and at the same time he becomes a cook in the middle. So he developed three different personalities in one. It was actually fun to portray, especially when they say action. From action to cut was fun. The rest of the time was complex because of the beard.
Yes, big beard.
Yeah, that was like it took a couple of hours every morning just to implant the beard and the wig and the whole entire thing. And we were shooting in a beautiful place actually, Savannah, Georgia, but it's very humid and very hot. And so that was very dramatic. In the middle of the day, and this pirate laughs a lot, and when he laughs, he stings a lot his face. So, ping, the mustache came out all the time. So more glue, attached the mustache again. You couldn't eat because if you eat hamburgers, impossible. So I was just drinking juices the whole entire day, like that. And that's what I did to survive for 12, 14 hours that we were working a day. After 3 days with the beer, what happened is that they use a glue, it's very strong actually. It's not like the ones that people use for Halloween parties. No, this is a real serious thing. The problem is that when you take it out, you have to use a lot of products, and it takes an hour of products stuff. And you get to the hotel room and you still have plastic and glue. So I used to shave it out. So you see these balls of glue coming out every afternoon. The problem was in the morning when you wake up and you have your face like this, and then you go to the makeup trailer and they say, sit down over there, and they start putting more glue on you. And this has, you know, components of ether and alcohol, and so it was...
Yeah. You weren't tempted to sleep in the bed?
Horrendous, actually. But at the same time, it was fun. It was fun because it's a game. The whole entire movie for me was like playing a game.
It's a great energetic movie, isn't there? So much going on. Is the animation, and then the characters actually kind of come into the real world as we've gathered, don't they?
It's a very positive character. I mean, if you overcome the fact that Bob is a sponge, you can believe anything in the world. So that is telling you that everything is possible. But at the same time, the character, as it's created, it becomes an entity. It could be a potato, it could be a stone or a feather. It doesn't matter. You know, it's a very positive character, and I think it sends a beautiful, message to kids because it's positive. There is no obstacles for him that he doesn't overcome with a smile in his face. Values like friendship and loyalty and teamwork are very important in the movie. And you have to think also that when you do a movie for kids, of course, it has to be an entertainment, clearly. And the kids are probably a rough audience. If they don't like something, they start yelling, they're going to get out of the theater immediately, they don't pardon you. And so one thing. And on the other hand, you have to, in a way, know that you are educating them too. So it's important for parents, and having a father for many years, you know, just to take them to see something that actually has certain values.
Well, should we have a look at the clip where you actually have a run-in with him? Let's have a look. What fun. There's a lot going on there.
Now, you may understand why I have a back pain, right? Right, yeah.
And for you, I mean, a lot of the time, it must have been a pretty lonely job because there's a lot of cameras, there's you, and what, it's sort of balls on sticks you're acting against? What are you doing?
Basically, I work with nobody.
Yeah.
There were guys just with sticks and tennis balls. And so those were the characters. A yellow ball was SpongeBob. Patrick was green. And so they move them in front of you. So you have to, that's for your eye line, just to follow the characters. But then it was confusing because the person that was feeding me the lines of the other characters, they was behind the camera. You cannot look at camera, but you know the normal thing is that you look to who is talking to you. So you have to get oblivious to that and just concentrating what you're doing there. Basically, what you do is just to use more the director than normal.
Right. Yeah.
In the morning, once the beer was installed in my face, and I felt like a bear attacked me, and we sat down in my trailer, and we went through everything that we were going to do, and they explained to me how the other characters were going to react to whatever I was going to say. So I knew pretty much the volumes that I have to use, if I have to scream too much or not, because the character is not going to react that big. You know, if you make a question, what is the way that he's going to answer you? Yeah. So little things like that. So you have to actually imagine the whole entire movie before even start shooting it. About the third or the fourth day, I realized that I could manipulate the movie a little bit, because whatever I did on the set, they're going to have to just go after that.
Yeah, brilliant.
And so I started improvising a little bit, and I was allowed to do that because I was very good friends with the director. Was Michael Mitchell. He directed the live action, and I worked with him before in one of the Shrek series. I did with him Shrek the Third. And so we get along very well, and I like the guy, and I think he likes me, so we got good empathy, and we started just creating things as much as the creators were fine with that, you know, and we were not getting out of the parameters of what the story should be about. I think that it brings a little bit of freshness to the whole entire process of telling a fairy tale, you know.
Definitely. Well, it's a very funny film, and as you were sort of referring to earlier, it's not kids enjoy it, but there is humour that adults get as well. I think we've got a clip which is a good example of that. Let's have a look.
I suppose that many of you have kids. That will happen.
I was thinking that, yeah, anyone who's got kids will understand completely
absolutely
what that is about.
Yeah, you give them sugar,
yeah.
You know, past 7, boom, party time. So, yeah.
We've got one more quick clip to look at, which shows us a bit more of the animation. Let's have a look.
Absolutely.
Also very funny.
Crazy, surreal, I told you.
It is, isn't it? Surreal. I mean, of course, you've been involved in other family films, many very successful ones. For example, when you played Puss in Boots first in Shrek, did you ever think that would become such a phenomenon?
No, in fact, Puss was a very little character when they offered it to me. I was at the time, I was doing Broadway. I was doing a musical on Broadway, and so the first sessions that I did was, I was in New York, and we have a fantastic first session, and we made a very important decision, I think, for the success of the character. Sometimes these things can be done in a second when you make a choice like that. They introduced me to the character. I saw, you know, how little he was in comparison with the other characters in the movie, and they want me to do actually a very little voice for him. Just a cat voice, like, eh. And I said to Jeffrey Katzenberg, the director at the time, I said, why don't we just go in the opposite direction? Why don't we just provide him with a very thick voice, like this? And then a cat, so little, talking with a voice, because comedy, in a way, is contrast. You know, is what it's not supposed to be and is. And then it makes you laugh. And that little decision changed completely the story of the character and of a big side of my career. The character took a big chunk of the second Shrek, and he ended up having his own spin-off.
Yeah,
fantastic. Donkey doesn't have it.
Yeah, well done.
So it was kind of, I love that character. We are going to do another one.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. That's great news. Good stuff.
We're going to do another one.
What about Spy Kids? That was fun, by the looks of it.
Spy Kids was actually the result of a longer relationship with a friend, which is Robert Rodriguez. I met him when he did the first mariachi that he did with $5,000. And the people that actually was in the cast of the movie, the actors, were picked in a hospital. Let me just tell you this little story. He, in order to make money to do the movie, put himself in a hospital trying a new medicine against cholesterol, I think it was. I don't know how that worked. But everybody that was in that room with him for like 5 days, I think, he cast them in the movie. So all of those characters are coming from the hospital, and there were people that just make some money just trying a new medicine. And he did that movie with those $5,000. So I saw the movie in Columbia Pictures in Los Angeles, and I thought it was fantastic. So I talked to him, and Columbia agrees to give us some budget to do a second movie of Desperado, was called, but it was based on El Mariachi. And from there, a relationship was born, and we ended up doing this kind of James Bondish movie that we did for kids. That was my first, the first steps that I took actually into the world of the universe of kids. In movies. Yeah.
How was the transition of Spanish movies, obviously working with the wonderful Pedro Almodovar, and then moving into Hollywood? Was that a culture shock for you?
Well, yes, absolutely. Of course it was. But everything happens in a way as an accident. It's not something that I search for. I went to Los Angeles because one of the Almodovar's movies, Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown, got a nomination for an Academy Award. So I went there, and I met a guy at the time that was literally taking coffees to the offices of the agents. His name was Manny Nunez. He's my agent today. He has been my agent for 23 years. And this guy insisted to a man called Arnie Glimcher, who was a producer, who wanted to direct his first movie, The Mambo Kings, that it was the guy who should do that. He convinced him even that I speak English, and I didn't.
You didn't?
So I came here to London to have an interview without a dinner with this guy, and I fake that I knew the language.
How did you do that?
You fake that, just trying to be very shy. You're a person who just speak very little. And you just sit down there at a table, you're saying basically, yes. Absolutely. Absolutely was a big word at the time. Probably absolutely I didn't have it, but I know. A lot of I knows and a lot of yes. And then at the end of the dinner, I said something like, I can do that. And that's the big line that I learned, and he believed it. And so 2 weeks after he took me to New York, I learned the lines phonetically, and that was my first steps in Hollywood. And I thought that it was going to be one of those things that I could tell my grandson someday, I did a movie for Warner Brothers. Okay. Wow. But then Jonathan Demme called me when he saw the movie to do Philadelphia. And little by little, they started giving me more responsibilities, and my English was kind of improving with the time. It will never be perfect, as you probably know already. But it's very difficult when you learn English at the age of 30, 31. It's almost impossible to just get rid of your accent. And at the end, it's funny, because Puss in Boots is a result of that.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think people want you to get rid of your accent.
My personality,
like
that's
it,
the way it is.
Definitely. Before we cut to the audience, let's talk about what else you've got coming up. Anything else we should know about?
Yes, a movie that I did last year in Colombia and Chile. It tells the story of the 33 men that got trapped in a mine in San Jose in the Atacama Desert in Chile for 70 days. It's a beautiful story because people doesn't know what happened down there or what happened up there between the families. So it's a fresco and a magnifying glass in ourselves. When you put people and you push people against their own limits, the best and the worst of them are going to come out. So the story is about that. It's about human beings trying to survive. First, life itself, and then be a celebrity, to be famous, to get in there minors and get out of there almost like the Rolling Stones. With telegrams from the Pope and from Obama and from everybody. And so, and that was, if you're not prepared for that, that can be very damaging, and it was for them. So that's that. And then I have a work that I did with Terrence Malick in a movie called Knights of Cup. And then, I'm going to start probably shooting at the end of the year something that I have been searching for a long time, which is the time in which Pablo Picasso, and I will play him, painted the Guernica. There was in 1937 for the Universal Exposition of Paris that year, in the middle of the Spanish Civil War. So it's a reflection about art, about war, politics, society, and life itself, using the canvas of the Guernica almost like a movie screen. Directed by Carlos Saura, Spanish prominent director, and with Gwyneth Paltrow playing Dora Maar. So that's a completely different story of what we saw here today.
Well, you like to mix it up, and that's a wonderful thing.
Absolutely, I do. I do.
Let's cut to the audience. If you could put your hands up and wait for the microphone to come over to you, that would be great.
Hi, I just want to say, first of all, I loved you as Zorro.
Thank you.
And then I have a question about Once Upon a Time in Mexico. The first one is, how was it acting with Johnny Depp? What was it like? And second, the scene where you slide down the staircase with your guitar trunk,
Right.
Was that you, or was that a stuntman?
Unfortunately, it was me. Yeah, with Robert Rodriguez, I did a lot of stunts. I did crazy stuff. Today, somebody showed me a picture of the first Desperado, actually. It's a picture with Salma and I just walking away from the fire. What nobody knows is that our hair burned. we didn't have so much money just to do that CGI or anything else, so they put real gasoline there. And it was a very interesting experience, actually. Johnny is a great guy. I only had actually one scene with him. I talked with him in the movie many times on the phone, but we had only one scene, but it was fun. He's a pretty eccentric guy, but I like him. He's very committed to the work, very serious when he's working. He takes it very seriously and very given to the director and to his fellow actors. In this case, it was me. We had fun that morning. We talked a lot about movies, and I hope that we have more time together on the screen someday. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I thought it was amazing in Expendables 3. Any maybe you being the fourth one, and is there any chance of you doing another Zorro film? If time goes by and we do another Zorro, I'm going to be doing the character that Anthony Hopkins did in the first one. Because, in the second one we have a kid already that was like 9 years old. Time went by, the kid would be like 19, 20, he would be ready actually to take over, which I wouldn't mind. I totally accept, the pass of time. It's absolutely natural, and I take it as it comes. So if that is the case, I would love to visit that character again. It's a lot of fun. It's a beautiful superhero that is not a superhero. He's just a hero because he doesn't have superpowers. I would like to take him out of the context. I would like to take him to Europe. He got to escape out of Mexico or something, and I would like to see sword fighting in an opera theater in Paris or something like that. I would like to take him completely out of the context. That would be fun.
And what did you expect?
The Expendables 4 is a possibility. We had a problem that we have to face. I mean, I don't want to criticize anybody, really. I mean it. But we have 17 million downloads of piracy. And, whoever financed the movie was not very happy about that. We didn't lose money at the end because China did a huge box office and the movie ended up with 250 million, which is fantastic. I think, yes, it's going to be probably a fourth, and I hope that my friend Sly Stallone is going to call me again. Hey kid, come over here.
Great. Questions at back there?
Hi. First of all, I'm a big fan, so thanks for coming and talking about the movie. I'm also
Thank you for you coming.
I'm also an animator, so I'm always delighted to see actors working in animation and having a great time. So thanks for your participation as a voice in animation and in animated films. And you mentioned earlier that you were on Broadway at one point. Have you been offered, would you like to come to do a play or musical in the West End in London? Would you love to do that? I was just wondering.
First of all, great that you are in animation, because probably something that not many people knows about my implication with animation is that I have been producing animation movies in Spain for a while. I did 2 feature films and then a short movie called Lady and the Reaper that got a nomination for an Academy Award for the Oscars. and I'm going to continue in the universe. I really love the genre. Broadway, yes. I've been offered. The problem with Broadway is that it requires a tremendous amount of time. It's very difficult actually to go to Broadway without signing for at least 1 year of participation on the play. And then there are so many things happening at the same time, producing, directing, writing, and stuff like that, that just commit yourself to 1 year is complex. I am moving to London. My life is going to take place probably here because there is a number of things that probably you will know in the next couple of months that I'm going to do over here. There is a certain respect, I have to confess that, because I know the relationship of this city with theater. It's very strong. People are tough, and they should be, you know. They should be because that makes it raise the bar and makes the actors actually, you know, push themselves to be better and better. Now, I cannot do Shakespeare, obviously. If I do Shakespeare, I will do it in Spanish and I will do it in Spain. But if I do something here, it has to be something that makes sense to me. Like 3 years ago, I was offered to do Zorba the Greek, the musical, on Broadway. Well, that is something that I would dare to jump into because it's, you know, I share a culture with that character. We are both Mediterranean. There is something that I can smell in that character that has to do with my own culture, and so it's something that I eventually will dare to jump into. So let's see. I don't close the doors to that possibility.
Thank you. We have a question from over this side, please.
Do you prefer acting in Spanish movies or in English movies?
It's funny because, of course, you know, in my mother language, I have more information, sensual information, emotional information with the words. Now, when I start working in America, it's interesting because when you're working in a language that is not your language, you feel a little bit freer. You're not too attached to the words. For example, if you say te quiero in Espanol, for me it has a very specific meaning, and I have history with those words, like everybody, right? If I say I love you, not now. I said I love you to a lot of people that I love, actually. But at the beginning of my career in America, it was very easy. It's when you learn bad words in another language, and you just throw them in front of people, and you don't know that they weight a lot. And the people may react like, oh my God, look what he said. And for you, it's not important because there is no history with those words for you. So I felt a little bit freer working at the beginning in English, strangely, right? But definitely my mother language is my mother language. When I work in Spanish, I have all the data, and I just can play with that information in the way I want.
Great question, thank you.
Hola, Antonio.
Hola.
So I had to study your film La piel que habito, The Skin I Live In,
Right.
At university. Obviously, that role is very different to any other role you've performed. So what was it like shooting that film?
Difficult. Difficult. It was like tie me up, tie me down on steroids. Difficult because as much as I love Pedro Almodóvar, real love. I mean, he's my brother. I know this guy from 35 years ago. He, in a way, is responsible for many of the good things that happened in my life, including Hollywood, because he's very well respected there. And to work with him is very, very difficult. Pedro Almodóvar doesn't want you to use anything that you have used before. He wants a new you. And in order to obtain that, he deconstructs you completely to build something with you that is new, and that, my friend, is very painful, eventually. It's very painful. Because you walk in a territory that you feel comfortable, doesn't mean that you're doing art. You can do something that the people is expecting from you, and makes you comfortable. You go to the hotel every night thinking, I was great. Because you are in control of the situation. But somebody like Pedro Almodóvar takes the rack out of your feet and you are suddenly on the air, that is very scary because you don't know where you are. And so that's the game that he plays with actors. And if they don't understand him, it can be eventually very dizzy. I know actors that they will never work with him back to Pedro Almodóvar, you know. But at the end, the results were extraordinary. I actually saw something that I didn't know even that I had in me. That has to do with economy. In a movie that actually many people interpret as a psychological thriller, but in reality I know that Pedro Almodóvar actually was talking about himself. He was talking about creation. He was talking about a director that with his hands and with the capacity he got to write a script can change you to be a man into a woman, can change reality. And there is a lot of details in the movie about that. For example, do you remember the TV that I have in my bedroom? It's a movie screen. It's an homage to movies inside the movie. I play with my remote control and I bring my captive woman to a close-up and I examine her in a close-up and then in a landscape. So there is references to cinema continuously. What Pedro Almodóvar did is use that beautiful story and sordid and serious and solid story to talk about himself and creation and how painful it can be.
That's excellent answer and very interesting. Thank you. We've got time for one or two more questions. In the front here, if you wait for the mic.
How have you managed to balance your family life with your career?
It depends if your family is involved also in the movie business or not. I mean, that's a completely different turf that you're talking about family now, and the implication of family with your professional life. That's it depends. You know, if you have a wife that actually listens to you, or you have a wife that says, you know, this is our space, and in our space, I don't want you to bring your problems, your stories. He does, right? No? Oh, but that's fine. That's fine. Help him. Tell him the truth.
Sound advice,
Tell
I'm
him
sure.
the truth.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for coming. Let's not forget that the SpongeBob movie is out on Friday, 27th of March, with previews this weekend. And a big thank you very much to Antonio Banderas and to all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.